In a world where global alliances are rapidly shifting and tensions are rising, Cuba has made a bold and strategic move, requesting BRICS partner status through Russia. This isn't just a diplomatic gesture, it's a high-stakes power play that could redefine Cuba's future. As the island nation aims to break free from the economic stranglehold of U.S. sanctions, aligning with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa could reshape the balance of power. What challenges and opportunities lie ahead for both sides in this pivotal moment? Let's dive into everything you need to know about Cuba's request for BRICS partner status amid escalating U.S. tensions. Chapter 1. Who is Cuba? Cuba, a small island nation in the Caribbean, holds a pivotal place in global geopolitics. Despite its size, Cuba has historically played an outsized role due to its revolutionary history, socialist government, and strained relations with the United States. Since the 1959 Cuban Revolution, led by Fidel Castro, Cuba has pursued an independent and often confrontational path, especially with the U.S. The country's political system is rooted in socialism, and it has long aligned itself with other communist or socialist nations, including the former Soviet Union. Throughout the Cold War, Cuba became a flashpoint in U.S.-Soviet relations, most notably during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. The Cuban economy, weakened by U.S. sanctions and trade embargoes, has faced considerable challenges, including shortages of goods, poverty, and a reliance on a few key industries like tourism and sugar. Today, as Cuba grapples with these economic hardships, it is seeking new partnerships to help alleviate its isolation. Chapter 2. Cuba's interest in BRICS. As global power dynamics shift, Cuba is eyeing membership in BRICS as a potential lifeline. BRICS, an economic alliance originally composed of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has become a significant force on the international stage. These nations are united by their desire to counterbalance the dominance of Western institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Cuba sees BRICS as a way to diversify its economic partnerships, reduce its dependence on the US dollar, and foster stronger relations with emerging global powers. In 2023, despite Cuba's efforts to deepen its alliances with BRICS nations, it was not invited to join. However, with the intensifying strain between Cuba and the US, particularly after more recent US sanctions, Cuba is pushing harder for BRICS membership. Partnering with this bloc could offer Cuba economic relief, especially by reducing its reliance on the dollar in international trade, which is a crucial factor given the ongoing US embargo. Chapter 3. The 2023 Rejection and US-Cuba Tensions. In 2023, Cuba's initial bid to join BRICS was met with resistance, even though several countries were invited to join the bloc, including Argentina, Egypt, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. The rejection came at a time when US-Cuba relations were particularly strained. Washington's decades-long embargo on Cuba remains in place, stifling the island nation's economy. The U.S. has consistently exerted pressure on countries that attempt to form stronger ties with Cuba, leveraging its economic and political influence to maintain Cuba's isolation. The U.S. trade war with China, sanctions on Russia, and tensions with other BRICS members like Iran have also created an environment where the U.S. closely monitors any moves that might undermine the hegemony of the dollar. Cuba's strategic interest in joining BRICS directly challenges U.S. economic power, and a successful membership would enable Havana to bypass some of the constraints placed on it by Washington. For Cuba, BRICS offers not just economic relief, but also a chance to assert its sovereignty on the global stage. Chapter 4. US-Russia and US-BRICS Tensions. Cuba's decision to seek BRICS membership is also influenced by the escalating tensions between the US and Russia. Since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, US sanctions on Russia have dramatically increased, pushing Moscow to strengthen its alliances with non-Western powers. Russia has been a vocal advocate for expanding BRICS. seeing it as a way to counter Western economic dominance, particularly that of the US and the European Union. Cuba's close historical ties with Russia make it a natural ally in this context. BRICS itself is becoming a symbol of opposition to Western influence, particularly as it explores the creation of a new reserve currency. Currently, the US dollar dominates global trade, accounting for 90% of all currency transactions, and nearly 100% of oil trading was conducted in dollars until recently. However, in 2023, about 1/5 of oil trades were reportedly made in non-US currencies, signaling a shift towards what many call de-dollarization. If BRICS succeeds in establishing a new currency, it could have serious implications for the US dollar's global dominance. Such a move would allow BRICS countries to bypass the dollar in international trade, reducing the effectiveness of US sanctions. For Cuba, joining this movement could offer a way to circumvent the crippling US sanctions that have stifled its economy for decades. Chapter 5. The BRICS currency and its implications for the US dollar. Yes, the BRICS nations are not only looking to form economic alliances, but are also considering the creation of a new reserve currency. This potential currency, backed by a basket of BRICS member currencies, would allow these countries to trade and conduct business without relying on the US dollar. For decades, the US dollar has been the dominant global reserve currency, with central banks around the world holding it in vast quantities to facilitate international trade. If BRICS were to successfully launch its currency, it would represent a significant challenge to the dollar's supremacy. The BRICS currency could stabilize against the US dollar, weakening US sanctions and reducing the influence of Western financial institutions. Countries such as China and Russia have already begun trading in their own currencies, and other nations like India and Kenya are exploring alternatives to the dollar. Cuba, by aligning with BRICS, would likely benefit from these trends, reducing its economic dependence on the US and gaining greater financial flexibility. Chapter 6. Cuba's 2024 request for BRICS membership. In 2024, Cuba took a bold step by directly asking Russian President Vladimir Putin for support in gaining BRICS membership. This request highlights Cuba's urgent need to find new economic partners and reduce its reliance on the US. The growing rift between the US and Russia, combined with increasing sanctions, has driven Moscow to look for new allies, particularly in Latin America. Cuba, with its close historical ties to Russia, is a logical candidate for BRICS membership. Cuba's appeal to join BRICS comes at a time when the bloc itself is undergoing significant expansion. In 2023, 6 new countries were invited to join the alliance: Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Chapter 7. How BRICS could benefit Cuba. For Cuba, joining BRICS offers immense economic advantages, particularly in trade, investment, and technological collaboration. BRICS members are exploring new payment systems, such as the BRICS Bridge, a blockchain-based platform that would facilitate cross-border payments and reduce reliance on Western financial systems like SWIFT. For Cuba, this would mean easier access to global markets without the need for US dollars, which have been scarce on the island due to decades of sanctions. Additionally, BRICS membership could provide Cuba with access to new sources of foreign direct investment from countries like China and Russia, which are eager to expand their influence in Latin America. This influx of capital could help modernize Cuba's infrastructure, revitalize its economy, and reduce its reliance on tourism, which has been hit hard by the pandemic and ongoing US sanctions. With many powerful nations on the waiting list, the competition for BRICS membership is intense. However, Cuba's strategic location, its socialist government, and its defiance of US policies make it an attractive potential partner for BRICS. Chapter 8. How Cuba is strategically important to BRICS. Cuba holds tremendous strategic value for BRICS, far beyond its geographic location. Just 90 miles from Florida, Cuba is a key player in the Caribbean, offering BRICS a gateway to exert influence in the Western Hemisphere. Its proximity to the US is significant. Cuba's inclusion in BRICS could challenge American dominance in Latin America, a region historically viewed as the US's backyard. For BRICS, this is an opportunity to disrupt the status quo and establish a foothold near the US, potentially altering geopolitical dynamics. Moreover, Cuba's socialist government aligns ideologically with the BRICS bloc, particularly Russia and China, both of which have long opposed Western capitalist hegemony. By embracing Cuba, BRICS strengthens its image as an alternative to Western-dominated institutions like NATO and the IMF, signaling to other left-leaning or non-aligned nations that there is another path. This could spark greater interest from countries across Latin America, where socialist and anti-US sentiments persist in many corners, potentially swelling BRICS' influence. Chapter 9. Will Cuba get its chance? With over 20 countries currently seeking BRICS membership, Cuba faces stiff competition. However, the island nation has several advantages that could bolster its chances. Its close historical ties with Russia, its strategic location, and its socialist government make it an appealing candidate for BRICS. Additionally, as BRICS continues to expand its influence in the global economy, Cuba's membership would represent a significant geopolitical victory, especially in the face of US opposition. On the other hand, Cuba's weak economy and its reliance on outdated infrastructure could be seen as drawbacks. While BRICS is focused on promoting economic growth among its members, it remains to be seen whether the bloc will prioritize ideological alignment over economic strength. Chapter 10. The Waiting Game. As Cuba awaits the outcome of its 2024 request for BRICS membership, the world watches closely. The island nation's potential inclusion in this powerful economic bloc could significantly alter the geopolitical landscape of Latin America and beyond. Will BRICS continue to challenge Western hegemony by welcoming new members like Cuba? Or will Cuba's dream of joining the bloc remain unfulfilled? Let's wait and see. If you want to stay updated on this developing story and learn more about BRICS expansion and global situations, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Stay tuned.